MMA Fighting presents Timeline. Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. February 3rd, 2007. UFC 67, All or Nothing, Las Vegas, Nevada. The 6-0 lightweight from Toms River, New Jersey makes his UFC debut against the undefeated Tyson Griffin. Despite being a heavy underdog, Edgar picks up a unanimous decision and Fight of the Night honors. Edgar goes on to defeat Mark Bocek by first-round TKO at UFC 73, stacked. At UFC 78, Validation, Edgar defeats Spencer Fisher by decision. However, Edgar would suffer the first loss of his career by decision to Gray Maynard at UFC Fight Night 13, Florian vs. Lozon. Edgar would answer the loss with back-to-back victories. At UFC Fight Night 14, Silva vs. Irvin, Frankie Edgar would beat Hermes Franca by decision. And at UFC 98, Evans vs. Machida, Frankie Edgar, in what would be considered a major upset at the time, defeats Sean the Muscle Shark Shirk by decision. December 5th, 2009, The Ultimate Fighter 10 finale, Las Vegas, Nevada. Now 5-1 in the UFC, Edgar is set to face Matt Veach.
It's funny that you mentioned what's on TV because this is a very big night for your neck of the woods. Do you know why? TV-wise?
Yeah, I do, man. Listen, don't judge me, please. Don't judge me on the Jersey Shore thing. It's horrible.
For those that don't know, tonight on MTV, Jersey Shore premieres.
Those guys, half the guys are like from Rhode Island or something.
You think they're fakes?
I think they're phonies. They're fugazis.
What's the fist pump all about? Tell us the significance behind that, because they're really playing that up. I know that's not you, but for those that don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's something like they say, you start down here, you work your way up to God, you know?
Well, it's good to have those guys, you know, in your corner at least for the fight, right? You don't want to mess with those guys.
I don't know. Yeah, you might mess with them and get their gel in your eyes or something, so it won't be good.
So you won't be watching tonight?
No, probably not. I might skim through it, see what it's all about.
I DVR'd it.
Did you really?
Absolutely. I cannot wait.
Edgar submits Veach midway through round 2. Edgar and Veach would be rewarded with a $25,000 Fight of the Night bonus.
A huge victory for you, very impressive. As a sort of a congratulatory sign of respect, I'll give you the fist pump, right? Represent New Jersey.
Yeah, that's what I like, a little fist pump action.
Well, the buzz around the octagon was he's ready for a title shot. Do you think you are?
Yeah, I do. You know, I think from here to the title shot, I'll have some things to work on, but I think I'm ready.
April 10th, 2010, UFC 112, Invincible, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Coming in as a major underdog, Frankie Edgar is matched up as the co-main event against BJ Penn. Despite a vast majority of media outlets scoring the fight for Penn, Edgar wins a very controversial decision and becomes the new UFC lightweight champion.
Let's be honest, a lot of people doubted you. How did you stay focused? How did you believe in yourself and go out there and execute the game plan?
You know, every fight I go into, I think I can win. I've been that way forever, and you know, that's just the best way to do it. You know, don't doubt yourself. I understood. I mean, he was a great champion. He reigned this. You know, he's the best lightweight ever. You know, hands down. But you know, I was just focused, and I knew I could beat him. Yeah, you know, Beach is really hard to take down. So you got to have good stand-up. You know. I think the 2 takedowns that I did get did, you know, win me, you know, maybe he was close round and it won me those rounds. The stand-up, you know, I know BJ's very fast. I think I was just a little bit quicker tonight.
How about fighting outdoors? Did that affect you in any way?
I felt great, man. Really did. I didn't really have to warm up much, you know. I was sweating when I walked in here, so it was easy.
I'm guessing you just want to fight it outdoors for the rest of your career now.
I would love it.
All right, so what are you going to do? How are you going to party with us tonight?
I don't know, man. I'm going to go, you know, hang out with my family. Definitely, and my teammates, you know, who is my teammates is my family, so it's easy. I'll be hanging out with my family tonight.
Toms River is
Baby, TR all
You're partying tonight in Toms River.
Absolutely, we're partying right now. I'll tell you that.
August 28th, 2010, UFC 118, Edgar vs. Penn 2, Boston, Massachusetts. The UFC immediately books a rematch between the two lightweights.
You're doing it all over again. There's a part of you think like, wow, this is like deja vu again. Everyone's doubting you. You're fighting BJ Penn. That just happened a few months ago.
Yeah, man, this is a pretty comfortable role. You know, I felt like I've done it once, so why not do it again?
BJ this time is the contender, and everyone's saying when BJ is motivated, when he feels as though the cards are sort of stacked against him, that's when he brings out the best BJ Penn. Are you expecting to see a different BJ Penn than the one you fought in April?
I'm sure he'll be adjusted. I'm sure he's adjusting to our last fight, some things that I did well. I'm sure he's going to try to avoid some of those things, but I've also think I've grown as a fighter myself, so hopefully I could be a little different in there as well.
Are you surprised that a lot of people aren't picking you this time around again?
No.
Why?
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm kind of cute. Maybe they don't like the cute kid in there. Who knows?
What do you have to do to gain some respect in MMA?
A convincing win Saturday, I'm sure will help me out.
Okay, so obviously you're from New Jersey, Toms River. This is in Boston, big deal, East Coast. You got a lot of people coming to this event?
I do, man. At least 130 people from my hometown alone. So hopefully I get some East Coast love as well.
Compared to in Abu Dhabi, you had like 5 people. You were rolling 5 deep.
Yeah, it's 5 deep, and if something happened, I would have been in trouble.
Situation coming?
Nah, he's home. He's in Seaside right now.
The first time we saw Frankie Edgar and BJ Penn, slightly controversial in Abu Dhabi. Which fighter are you expecting to step up his game on Saturday night?
I think that, Frankie Edgar's always consistent, man. That kid comes in, he's a million miles an hour, he goes after it. BJ Penn is, you don't know which BJ is going to show up. The world beater that's been in phenomenal shape, jumping out of a swimming pool with no hands, you don't know what guy you're going to get, but until he loses. After a loss, you usually expect to see the best BJ Penn ever.
So in a way, this was probably a good thing for him, sort of reinvigorated him.
How many times have we said that in 10 years? It's always, it takes something to get the fire lit under BJ again, and I believe this did.
This time, without controversy, Edgar defeats Penn by unanimous decision.
I don't know. I just felt I put more pressure on. Was able to finish in some takedowns and stay on top for a longer period of time, and I felt I was able to step in on my strikes more.
How important was it for you to dominate BJ like you did and really take away any question that you won this fight?
I think it was more important for you guys than it is for me, I go in every fight trying to win, trying to do my best. That's all I could do, but it definitely might get some of you guys off my back for sure.
A lot of fans, giving Frankie his props, but saying it wasn't all that exciting. What do you think of his performance?
You're a complete jackass if you did not appreciate what you saw there tonight. Give this kid his respect. He just fought BJ Penn for the second time, and people doubted whether he won the first time. Nobody can doubt whether he won this time. It was an absolute domination. He hit BJ Penn with big shots, beat him on his feet, beat him on the ground, was able to take him down with big slams, and then BJ Penn would get that top position, almost had the mount. Frankie got out of it. Frankie absolutely 100% dominated and destroyed BJ Penn. That means something.
January 1st, 2011. UFC 125. Resolution. Las Vegas, Nevada. Frankie Edgar will defend his belt for the second time against the only person to defeat him, Gray Maynard.
Frankie, on your fight biography, it lists your previous occupation as a plumber. Can you tell, is that the case? And can you say how long you did that for before you became a fighter?
I've been laying pipe for for quite a while, but I was a plumber. I graduated college in 2005, and then I was plumbing until like my second, third fight in the UFC.
Those days are behind you?
Yeah, way behind me.
In one of the most dramatic and exciting fights in UFC history, Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard fight to a rare split draw.
What you saw tonight was a lot of people have doubted Frankie Edgar, even after beating BJ Penn twice and all the things that have happened. To overcome the first round that he overcame, and to get back into that fight, for it to even be considered a draw, this kid is amazing, and he did a great job tonight. A couple fights back, I said Gray Maynard wasn't ready for the title. The fight, Gray Maynard proved tonight that he is ready and put on what's going to be, a considered fight of the year for the rest of the year.
We talked to Anthony Pettis after the fight, and his first reaction was he was very nervous that he wasn't going to get his title shot next. What are you going to do? Are you going to give the shot to Maynard, or does Anthony get the shot next?
Well, you know what happened? I'm in my room in the back, and all the guys are getting back together, and there's this whole argument going around that well, Pettis now has his title, and he's da-da-da-da. You know what? Gray Maynard proved tonight. You can't not give Gray Maynard this fight. you got to give this kid the immediate rematch. You know, and I've been thinking about it for hours, and I know I told Craig to go to the press conference and say Pettis is getting it. Pettis isn't getting it.
Gray Maynard's getting it.
Gray Maynard's getting this rematch.
October 8th, 2011, UFC 136, Edgar versus Maynard 3, Houston, Texas. Frankie Edgar is immediately booked to rematch Maynard.
What did you learn about Gray and Gray? What did you learn about Frankie that maybe you didn't know before?
Yeah, he's a tough kid, you know. I mean, he came back off that, and you know, even I was amazed.
Yeah, you know, I knew he was great. Gray's a good fighter, got a lot of abilities, a lot of skills, and you know, he definitely came with the heat, and that's probably the biggest thing. You know, he really put the pressure on me in that first round, and just how he was able to stay in after the whole 5 rounds. You know, after going pretty hard in that first round, and you know, I bounced back pretty hard, and he came right back with it. So you know, just his testament of his toughness as well.
It's interesting watching the difference in their personalities, Edgar and Maynard. Edgar, in the countdown show, it's almost like he took the draw as a victory. Maynard is pissed off. He's watching the show by himself. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. Do you feel as though Maynard comes into this fight with a chip on his shoulder, and Edgar kind of feels like it was sort of a moral victory, ending up fighting to a draw with Maynard?
Well, the way you look at it, it is a win. He's been walking around with the belt since that last fight. He's the champion. He's had all the perks and all the, he's hanging out with the Philadelphia Eagles and, doing all the things that a champion does when you got that belt. And Gray has not. So yeah, he's bitter and he's upset, and he feels like he should have finished that fight in the first round. So, and if you remember at the press conference, I was going to move on and do another fight, and Gray was so upset and so, I said, all right, I'll give you this shot I'll give it to you now. We'll do this thing. So he didn't say much today at the press conference. He, out of 10 questions, he probably said 4 words out of being asked 10 questions. And I think he's just ready to fight. I'm actually really looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be great.
I had Frankie Edgar on my show on Monday. He talked about the fact that he walks around at 160. He only has to cut 5 pounds. He really should be fighting at 145, but he's doing great at 155. He could probably move down to 135. Would you be in favor of a guy just trying to build his legacy that way by trying to get other belts while he is the champion? And
it's one of the reasons why I say he's so overlooked in that pound-for-pound division. I agree with you. The guy should be fighting at 45, yet he's been dominating at 55. It's incredible. What would he do at 45? So, and believe me, I've had this discussion with him and asked him, how come you don't go to 45? Because he doesn't want to. He wants to fight the guys at 55. So what am I going to do?
Once again, Edgar takes a vicious beating in the first round from Maynard, but still survives. This time, however, Edgar conclusively closes their trilogy when the answer knocks out Maynard in round 4 to retain his belt.
Is that the biggest win of your UFC career?
Absolutely. Gray's got a win over me, and then we obviously had that, that draw. I was able to come back and, make a definitive finish.
Let's talk about that first round. It was very reminiscent of the first round of the second fight. Did he, in this fight, hurt you more or less than that first round of the second fight, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's tough to decipher whether it was worse. I would say it's the same. I was able to bounce back. I think I came to a little quicker, though, this time around. So, I felt the momentum, though, right away. Second round, third round, going on to the fourth.
And what about the finish? Were you surprised that you were able to finish him at that stage of the fight with those punches?
Yeah, I just feel I'm not the biggest power puncher, right, but I'm pretty precise, and I feel I punch correctly. And it's not always the most powerful punch that's going to hurt you. It's the one you don't see, and I feel like that's what worked for me.
And they landed cleanly. When you landed that first one, did you know that he was in trouble?
Yeah, I felt him buckle a little bit, and then so I was definitely aware of it. So I jumped on him. The second one, he buckled to the ground, and the other ones I pretty much just finished up with.
You're a pretty cool customer, but seeing you celebrate and kissing the camera and screaming, we're not used to seeing that out of you. What were you experiencing inside?
Yeah, sometimes your emotions get a hold of you, and I guess that's what it is. I never planned any of that stuff, but this is a lot of pressure. It really is. Third fight with Gray, having the injury, having to think about it for that long. It was more, not only the win, just like saying, man, I'm done with this dude. We can move on to the next.
Do you feel as though you have to stop answering those questions about 145 at this point? You are the best lightweight in the world, bar none. it's time for people to just recognize you as such?
Yeah, I think so. I think people recognize it, man. It's just, it's intriguing. I probably can't make 45, so, you know, it's intriguing for the, you know, the press, the media, for fans, for Dana, you know, how would he do at 45? And I'll be the first to tell you, it doesn't mean I'm automatically going to be successful at 45. You know, I'm a realist. That's just how I am. So 55, 45. I'll stick with 55 for now. It's good. Ace in my back pocket, 45, though.
All you Canadians, I know you guys love you some GSP, and so do I. I love GSP. You know, I say it all the time. I actually get mad when I'm up in Canada. I'm like, how is this guy not sponsored by every blue chip company in Canada? He's a great champion. He's a great ambassador for our sport. He's a great ambassador for his country. But when you really look at what the pound for pound means, how do you not put Frankie Edgar in the number 2 position? The guy weighs 145 pounds. He's fighting at 155 pounds. He's beat everybody and just knocked out Gray Maynard. He is the number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world. No disrespect to Canada or George St. Pierre. It is what it is.
February 4th, 2012. UFC 143, Diaz versus Condit, Las Vegas, Nevada. 20-year-old Max Holloway makes his UFC debut on late notice against Dustin Poirier. Holloway would suffer his first defeat by first-round submission.
Did he throw anything at you out there that you didn't expect?
A couple of things he threw I expected. A kickboxer to throw body kicks, good crosses down the middle. He was trying to counter me. I was throwing an outside leg kick. He was trying to counter me with the cross every time I threw it. He ended up touching my chin, kind of flashed me a little bit. Then he threw we circled, we mixed again. He threw a flying knee, or I don't know if it was the knee or the shin. The way he throws his knees weren't like a normal flying knee. He kind of like jumps up, and it looks like, it's kind of weird what he was doing, but something hit me and flashed me, and I knew I had to put the pressure on him. And once I got him against the fence, I have an 8-week strength and conditioning program. I feel really strong at 145. So he almost got away from the takedown, but I got him down, and once we hit the ground, I showed that I do practice jiu-jitsu.
Holloway would go on to win his next 3 matches, including a victory over Leonard Garcia, before losing a close match against Dennis Bermudez, bringing his UFC record to 3-2. February 5th, 2012. UFC 144, Edgar versus Henderson, Saitama, Japan. Frankie Edgar is scheduled to defend his title against former WEC lightweight champion Benson Henderson at the Saitama Super Arena.
Did you see the new commercial that just came out when you guys are all the cartoon characters?
Yeah, doing a little dance. Yeah,
you got some swag there. The backwards hat.
That's dope. I can get down with that.
It's amazing what they can do in videos, turn people without swag into having swag.
Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Okay.
What kind of problems do you think Benson poses as a fighter?
He's a big guy. He's athletic, very flexible, and he's, maybe impossible to submit. So he's got a good pace, good engine. He's got a lot of things. He's very well-rounded. I really can't say he's picked many, holes in his game.
Right.
It's
Is
nice.
the UFC still trying to put that idea in your mind of going down to 145?
It's they haven't really mentioned it in a while, especially with this fight looming. You haven't heard it at all. Is it a possibility? It's no secret I can make the weight, so we'll see. It's an intriguing option for me and for the UFC.
But if you had it your way, you'd rather not. You'd rather just stay at 155.
I don't know. Right now, yeah. Right now, I want to stay at 155. I want to defend my title. After this fight, I probably want to, just keep going at it. See what I can do. But it's a nice option to have.
Yeah.
Edgar is once again involved in a controversial result. But this time, he is on the losing end as Henderson wins the judge's decision.
Who do you think won the fight?
Again, I'm not a judge, and my opinion doesn't matter, but I had it even going into that last round, and I gave the last round to Frankie.
So were you at all surprised when the judges scored it? Some of them, I believe, 4-1 for Benson Henderson.
Yeah, that's crazy. Most of the judges had him losing the last round. I don't know how you have him losing the last round, but I was on Twitter going into the third, fourth, and last round, asking people how they had it, and there were some people that had it just like I had it. There were other people that had it the other way for Henderson, and I said, get ready for some controversy. This is going to be a controversial decision.
August 11th, 2012. UFC 150, Henderson versus Edgar 2, Denver, Colorado. Frankie Edgar is set to rematch Benson Henderson for the 155-pound UFC championship.
Frankie, here's the big question right off the top. You haven't been asked this yet. When are you going down to I'm just joking. How annoyed. I feel like every time you want to kill someone when you, even up to this fight, they keep asking you.
I know, it's crazy. Fight's only 3-4 days away, and, I'm getting that question. But it is what it is, man. I'm kind of used to it.
How different do you think this fight will be? Do you think it will resemble the first fight, or are you expecting a completely different fighter?
I don't. I'm expecting a different fighter as a better fighter because I know I improved. I'm expecting him to improve. We've both been in there with each other for 25 minutes, and we got to see what we both bring to the table. So it could end up the same, but I think we're going to both be better.
All right, final question. What is the key to defeating Benson? Perhaps something that you didn't think you did well enough in the first fight that you need to do on Saturday night?
It's tough to really say. I just have to be better. And I've been saying that. I know it's kind of cliche, but I feel I did. I felt I did good at the last fight, but I need to be a little bit better and make sure there's no question.
In what may be an even more controversial decision than their first match, Edgar loses by split decision.
Yeah, it don't really matter what I think at this point. I could, be pissed off, but it's he still got decision. It's never going to change. It's just what it is.
Dana, what did Benson ask you after the fight, and what did you answer him?
He said, who won this fight? And I said, I'm not a judge. He said, seriously, tell me who won this fight. I said, I'm not a judge, bro. He asked me the same thing. And I said, I'm not a judge. And he said, fuck you, be real with me. Who won this fight?
Dana, did you think at all, did the word draw come into your head when it went to the scorecards?
I had the fight even going into the last round. I had it even going into that last round.
Frankie, over here, did you think you did enough to win the fight, with the takedowns and landing some good shots too?
Yeah, I did. I did think I did enough. I felt I pushed the pace. I felt I brought the fight to him, But here we are.
It seems like, and I'm just maybe seeing the other side of the coin here, that you don't want to open that can of worms by saying if you do think Frankie Edgar won, because it seems like unanimously the entire MMA media thought he won, to start the whole thing about a rematch again.
Guess what? Doesn't matter what you guys think either. It doesn't matter what any of us think. The judges made their decision tonight, and it was for Ben Henderson. The kid won the fight. What are you going to do?
I know a lot of people always say that Frankie should go down to 145. He doesn't have to cut weight, but he just lost 2 fights to arguably the best lightweight in the world. Very close, controversial. He could have won both of them. How can you really make the guy go down?
I can't make him go down at all. I agree with you 100%. I think that not only has he, these 2 fights, but all the fights that he's won in the past, including BJ Penn and Maynard and all the other fights that he's won. I love this kid. I respect him. And I just think he would do better at 45. But again, it's much like who do I think won? It doesn't matter. It's not my decision. If Frankie Edgar wants to stay at 55, he's earned that right. He deserves that right, and he can do whatever the hell he wants.
February 2nd, 2013. UFC 156, Aldo versus Edgar, Las Vegas, Nevada. For the first time in his career, Frankie Edgar drops to featherweight and is set to challenge the UFC 145-pound champion, Jose Aldo.
But you're feeling good, right? I mean, everyone's talking about 145. It looks like this is a lightweight fight for you.
Yeah, no problem. It's kind of funny. I feel like everyone's saying you're too small for 55, too small for 55, but everybody wants this to be like such a hard cut. I don't understand this. So, yeah, it's been pretty much not much of a weight cut at all. I'm able to. What I like about 55 the most is I could train throughout the whole week and kind of go about, still going hard at night. And I have been able to do that for this fight too. So it's been nice.
How annoying is it to watch like Benson fight Nate Diaz? Because a lot of people still think that you're the champ. Is it annoying?
It stung for a while, but I'm past it. If you got to be past it, because I'm not trying to beat myself up every time I see him. Do it. I'm not trying to hex him or anything. I hope he does well, and he put on a great performance and proved he's a formidable lightweight champion.
Isn't it amazing? You finally go down to 145, and now this week people are talking about 135. Chael Sonnen saying on UFC Tonight that you're going down to fight Dominic Cruz. What's going on here? Are you really going down to 135?
No, let's worry about 45. I got a pretty big task ahead of me, and I'm not thinking of anything except Saturday night. And 45, let's worry about making this and having a good performance.
How much pressure do you feel going into this right now? Is this a must-win? I mean, I know they're all must-wins, but do you feel that going into this fight?
I don't. I'll be okay. No matter what, I'll be okay. I've kind of try to I get past being such a head case. I used to be like that in college wrestling, and you can't get upset over things you can't control. I just gotta go out there and fight my best, and good things will happen.
In one of the best fights of the year, Aldo defeats Edgar by decision.
Jose is a champion, and that's pretty much the bottom line. I don't want to be talking about, do you think you won, this and that, the score, the rounds. It doesn't matter. He left with the belt, and he's a champion deservingly.
Frankie, now that it's over and you had the fight at 145, do you feel better as a featherweight, or do you like how you feel as a fighter fighting at lightweight?
The fight's kind of keeps on going the same way wherever I'm at, Get a little beat up and I have these close fights, so I don't know if it matters, to be honest with you.
But as far as your skills out there, did you feel
I
like you
feel
lost
like
anything?
I match up well with guys at 55 and at 45,
Do you think you'll stick around at 145 now?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, man, to be honest with you. It's too soon.
Thanks.
The answer halts his 3-fight skid by defeating the prospect Charles Oliveira at UFC 162, Silva versus Weidman. August 17th, 2013, UFC Fight Night 26. Shogun versus Sonnen, Boston, Massachusetts. Holloway is set to face Conor McGregor in the prelims. Max Holloway loses to Conor McGregor by unanimous decision. The fight was expected to be a striking battle, but each fighter suffers leg injuries in the match. McGregor with a knee injury and Holloway with an ankle injury. April 26, 2014. UFC 172, Jones versus Teixeira, Baltimore, Maryland. After getting back on the winning track with the knockout victory over Will Shope, Holloway returns to face top prospect Andre Fili. Blessed shows off his submission skills with an impressive guillotine choke in the 3rd round. Max Holloway would go on to win 3 more fights over Clay Collard, Akira Corassani, and Cole Miller. July 6, 2014. The Ultimate Fighter 19 finale. Las Vegas, Nevada. Frankie Edgar is booked opposite BJ Penn for the 3rd time in their careers, this time at 145 pounds.
Dana White said recently that if you lose this fight that he would want to talk to you about retirement. What's your response to that?
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense from Dana to say that. So I
feel that way? Is this do or die for you?
We just talked about me retiring just right before I took this fight. So, do or die or not, I'm going to go out and I'm going to enjoy this whole thing. I'm enjoying talking to all you people, old friends that have seen come interview me over the years and everybody. And I'm just enjoying this bright, beautiful blue sky outside, and I'm just going to ride this till the wheels fall off, huh?
Edgar thoroughly outclasses and defeats BJ Penn by 3rd round TKO.
No, I kind of said that myself. I felt that as the finish was going on, it was bittersweet. I didn't get up and celebrate like crazy, kind of because I felt like that was what was going to happen. BJ will always be mentioned with my name just because we fought 3 times, and I got the title from him, and when I first got into the sport, BJ was the guy, and he did a lot for the lightweight. So I think we all owe BJ a lot. The first time I fought him, I was kind of, wet behind the ears. He was BJ Penn. I believed I could beat him, but then I beat him the first time. The second time, I knew I could beat him, and then this time, I feel like I was the man. I was the one that was supposed to win. So I went and did it, dominantly. Just to be, like I said, before, BJ is going to forever be a part of my career. The upside of my career started with BJ, him giving me the title shot. And, when you have 3 fights with a guy, or whenever I'm mentioned or whenever BJ's mentioned, I feel, the other guy's going to be mentioned. So, I think all lightweights, all little guys, or not even, just everybody in the UFC owes a lot to BJ.
Edgar goes on to defeat Cub Swanson by 5th round neck crank at UFC Fight Night 57, Edgar vs. Swanson in Austin, Texas. And at UFC Fight Night 66 in the Philippines, Edgar defeats Uriah Faber by decision. April 18th, 2015, UFC on Fox 15, Rockhold vs. Machida, Newark, New Jersey. Now on a 5-fight win streak, Holloway is set to face top contender Cub Swanson.
So, your story is a great one because you're so young. You're 24, correct? Or you're about to turn 24. And you came into the UFC at such a young age, short notice fight, right? And we didn't really get to see the real you. Then after the Poirier fight, I think we got a sense of that. And then you stumbled a little bit, but now recently, 5 in a row, and you've looked incredible. What's been the biggest difference as of late?
My maturity, and that first couple of fights, I didn't really have a striking coach. It's only me and my boy Dustin Kimura. We was helping each other out, and just being each other's mid man, and it was hard, because we wanted to be full-time fighters, so it's hard holding mitts for each other and working with each other. But now I got 2 striking coaches. I got Ivan Flores over at Legacy Muay Thai, and then I got Hawaii Elite MMA Charles Kilipi. So it's awesome, it's great. And now I got guys that can worry about watching fight and breaking down fights and making combinations, and I don't have to worry too much about it.
In a breakout performance, Holloway dominates Swanson and finishes him by submission late in the 3rd round. The victory earns Performance of the Night honors for Holloway.
What kind of position does this put you in? Do you sit back and wait till July and see what happens, or are you ready to go out and take another fight and let the title fight figure itself out in the summer?
I don't know. I'm not a matchmaker. That's not my job. We see what Dana White, what Sean Shelby, Joe Silva want to do with me. We take one step at a time. That's what we've been doing, and it's been working out for us.
Holloway would follow up this victory with wins over Charles Oliveira and Jeremy Stevens. December 11, 2015, The Ultimate Fighter Season 22 finale, Las Vegas, Nevada. Edgar is set to face perennial top featherweight contender Chad Mendes in the main event. In one of Edgar's most impressive victories of his career, Edgar knocks out Mendes midway through the 1st round. This victory would earn Edgar a 2nd shot at the UFC Featherweight Championship.
But I gotta say, just watching you up there, you have a smile on your face. It's been a while since we get to see you sort of revel in a victory like this. You proved your point, right?
For sure, I did, but at the same time, I want to bring myself down, man. I still got a goal, one more goal to achieve, So I don't want to, throw my hat in the sky too high, because I still got some work to do, man. That title's mine, and I got to make sure I get it.
You've been in this game a long time. You know how things go. Is a part of you saying, I just want to see what happens tomorrow, because you know that if Aldo loses, they might give him crazy things have happened, right?
Yeah, I'm a realist. I've always been that way, and I'm not banking on anything. I'm happy that I got the confirmation from Dana. I mean, all you guys heard it. He just said it in a press conference. His back's gonna be against the wall a little bit. You know what I mean? But anything can happen. I'm just gonna hope for the best.
June 4th, 2016, UFC 199, Rockhold vs. Bisping 2, Inglewood, California. Max Holloway faces perennial top contender Ricardo Lamas. Holloway wins by decision and improves his win streak to 9 in a row. July 9th, 2016, UFC 200, Tate vs. Nunes, Las Vegas, Nevada. With the belt on the line, Frankie the Answer Edgar is scheduled to face Jose Aldo once again.
Now we move along to the 2nd fight on the pay-per-view card, Frankie Edgar versus Jose Aldo, a fight that was once a main event. Now it's the 2nd fight on the pay-per-view, and that, of course, is for the UFC interim featherweight champion, although if you ask Frankie's coach, Mark Henry, it's for the Real Fighters Championship, and that's, in his opinion, the real featherweight championship, I should say. Who do you got?
Man, I have gone back and forth on this pick since it was announced. I think, to me, this is the closest pick on the entire card. I'm going with Jose Aldo. I feel like I'm going with Jose Aldo. People have forgotten how good this guy was. I mean, it was only 6 months ago that we were talking about this guy as an all-time great, the greatest featherweight ever, and he gets knocked out in 13 seconds now. Everyone forgets about it. I think he comes back. I think he's determined to get another fight with Conor. I'm going to pick him.
Finish?
Decision.
Dare I say, y'all must have forgot. Mark, your pick.
I actually agree with Sean 100%.
Wow.
I think Aldo. For all the reasons that he said, people are forgetting how good he was. Lost McGregor for sure, but before that, impeccable. He's already beaten Edgar once. I didn't think that was that close of a fight. I mean, there were some rounds that were close, but I thought he definitely won that definitively, and I think that's going to happen again.
Wow, Frankie Edgar still can get no respect. The Rodney Dangerfield, the self-proclaimed Rodney Dangerfield of MMA. Okay.
Jose Aldo defeats Frankie Edgar and retains the title. This snaps Edgar's 5-fight winning streak. Frankie would get back on the winning track by defeating Jeremy Stevens at UFC 205 Alvarez versus McGregor.
You were hurt, potentially not fight.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I've been hurt in the past, as you guys know, and I always bounced back pretty good. I actually bounced back quicker than I thought. In between rounds, I was 100% with it. I don't know if I necessarily knew it was a head kick that did that, but I bounced back fast. Fast.
Stevens that surprised you tonight as an opponent?
Not really, man. I knew he was going to be a hard hitter. I know he's bigger than me. I know he probably came in at least 10 pounds heavier than me tonight. So, but that's as such with a Frankie Edgar fight.
Are you saying
Was that follow-up knee after the kick, did that hurt you? Because it appeared very illegal. Or do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't even know I got hit with a knee, really. So, yeah, I guess it didn't hurt me enough.
December 10th, 2016, UFC 206, Holloway versus Pettis, Toronto, Canada. Max Holloway is booked in his first pay-per-view main event opposite former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis.
Watch every single fight. The thing with Max Holloway, I grow every single fight. You guys can go watch the tape. Watch the fight from Jeremy to Oliveira to Jeremy to what's his name, Lamis, the Cub fight. Watch all those fights. I grow, I show something more better. And my plan in there is to finish you. If I don't finish you, I'm making you guys right the next day and be like, holy shit, why is this guy in with Max Holloway and who's next, So that's what I've been saying, this whole camp. Everybody's gonna have someone who's next, It's just time we came to that point where you guys just need to all agree and be like, Max is the freaking man. He's the best guy on planet Earth. So that's the time that we're here now.
Holloway finishes Pettis late in the third round via strikes. Max Holloway is the new UFC interim featherweight champion.
It's been a hell of a ride, man. And we're just getting started, man. Tune in, man. Tune in. This is just the beginning. I said it in there in February, and then when everything was slowing down, I was in the back. I was thinking of, I already had to give up Thanksgiving for this fight. I had to give up my birthday. And, and it's hard to find the guy, like I said, hashtag where's Jose Aldo, and let me know when you find him, teamwork is the dream work, if more of us is looking for him, we're gonna find him together, but we see what happens, I don't know, I don't want to give up my son's birthday and Christmas for February 11th and he don't show up, this guy has an act for not showing up to the fight, so we see what happens, maybe, I gotta talk to Dana White first, man. I got a brunch that I want to do. We sit down with him and Sean Selby, and we can talk. We can talk some business.
Now that you're the interim champion, are you willing, in the worst case scenario where Aldo is for some reason unable to defend over the next 6 months or something, will you entertain an interim title defense?
Of course. I'm the best man alive. Like I said, everybody always give me shit. Like, oh, why you wanted to fight Aldo? Why are you not calling out Conor? It's like, look, Conor's booked. Why I'm going to call out a guy who's already have a fight? I was looking out for Aldo. I thought he wanted to fight, and this guy is saying he's the best in the world. Come and prove it, I don't believe in guys waiting for title shots. That means you fucking pussy. You don't believe that you're the best guy in the world, I believe I'm the best damn guy in the world. If I got to defend this thing 10 times before I get the undisputed thing, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to prove to you guys, prove to myself, and prove to everyone that I'm the best motherfucker walking on 2 feet. And you guys are all gonna witness it. This is the Bless Show now, I'm taking over.
May 13th, 2017, UFC 211, Miocic versus Dos Santos, Cleveland, Ohio. In the classic veteran versus prospect matchup, Edgar faces fast-rising 10-1 Yair Rodriguez.
They are calling this, by the way, Frankie, the people's main event. You know that?
I'll take it. I like it.
That is more prestigious than the actual main event.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So I'm
UFC tells me that you get $25,000 if you're in the people's main event.
Yeah.
Did Ali not tell you that?
Maybe he's holding out on me here.
Do you sit down and look at the matchup from the UFC's perspective and say, I wonder if they're trying to build him up off my name?
I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of what it is, But it's the nature of the sport, right? The young guy's got to work his way up and fight a guy that's better than him to make their name. And, he did it with BJ, trying to do it with me, but we're going to pump that brakes, and he's going to have to build his name after Saturday.
And finally, his mother had a dream, Yair's mother, that he's going to flying knee KO you in the first round. And so I'm wondering if your mother had a dream about the fight, and if so, what was it? What is the prediction?
My mother actually had a premonition or a dream when I was 24 that I was going to be a doctor, and we all got to disappoint our parents sometime or another.
That's a very good answer.
Frankie Edgar defeats El Pantera by doctor stoppage.
Let's talk about Frankie Edgar and Yair Rodriguez. We thought this could have been a coming out party for El Pantera. Frankie Edgar had other plans. He had the answer to Yair Rodriguez's question. Yeah, he was fantastic in this fight. I mean, look, I said to a few of the guys in the back before the fight, it just doesn't feel like Frankie Edgar is ready to say goodbye. Like, he's not that guy that you're going to build off of just yet. He's still very much in his prime. He's, in my opinion, maybe the second or third best featherweight in the world, and he could probably do a lot of damage at 135 as well. This was vintage Frankie Edgar. It was a fantastic performance. The fight gets stopped in between the second and third round. The doctor stopped it after Yair's eye was totally messed up.
What can you say about Frankie Edgar, man? He is not a guy who can be counted out yet. He beat him from a pillar to post in such a dominant fashion. It wasn't even close, and he's kind of in a tough spot now. He really is. If you're him, you're really just hoping for Max Holloway to win next month, because then you're right there. I mean, Frankie versus Holloway, that's a great fight. He's obviously the second best or third best guy in this division.
June 3rd, 2017, UFC 212, Aldo versus Holloway, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now holding the interim title, Max Holloway is set to face champ Jose Aldo at the Jeunesse Arena to determine who will be the undisputed UFC featherweight champion.
Keep saying, oh, but they both lost to Conor McGregor. This belt is Conor McGregor's. Does it bother you?
It doesn't bother me at all. Conor McGregor should be proud. Like, listen to this. He should be proud. He's a 2015 champion, walk around with your belt, Guess what? DJ got 11 belts. He should walk around every single belt. I'll go back to basketball. LeBron James got 3 rings. What you gonna tell him? You're gonna tell him, oh, you can't walk around with your 3 rings. Why? He deserved the damn thing. Conor McGregor is a champion in 2015. Get that one thing straight. What year are we in today? What year? 2017. This is a new champ. You gotta play to be the champ. You gotta play, and he's not playing. Just like I'm gonna go back to LeBron James then. Imagine if LeBron James then just won last year against Golden State. They won the finals against Golden State. They're playing Golden State again. Imagine LeBron came out and be like, guys, we're not playing the final this year. We beat them last year. We're the champs. In what sport does that work? Does that work in soccer? Imagine the soccer champs if they're rematching for the final cup. They'd be like, we beat you last year. We don't need to beat you. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You guys, these people make no sense. These fans it's crazy.
Holloway defeats Aldo and is now the undisputed UFC featherweight champ.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. King Max is here, guys. Blessed era. Welcome. We can now take questions. No, I don't want money fights, Dana White told me, we had a meeting before, and he said, this is big game hunting. The bigger the game you bring in to the table, the more bigger paychecks you get. And I think Aldo's he's a silverback gorilla, Now I want my paycheck. I don't want money fights. I want to get paid. And like I said, I want to defend my throne. I'm going to be here for a long time. And why not do it in Hawaii? Who in here doesn't want to go to Hawaii? Raise your hand. Or just stand up and actually, if you don't want to go to Hawaii, just stand up and leave. I don't want to take questions from you.
December 2nd, 2017, UFC 218, Holloway versus Aldo 2, Detroit, Michigan. Originally booked as Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, a few weeks out, Edgar is forced to withdraw from his title bid due to injury. The UFC rebooks Jose Aldo, who was already booked to face Ricardo Lamas in Winnipeg a few weeks later, to rematch the champ as the main event for UFC 218. Holloway successfully defends his title with a third-round TKO.
I recently heard about Aldo's his motivation for this fight was his daughter, and me being a parent with my son, I get it. But, that guy should know he doesn't have to owe anybody anything, That guy's one of the greatest of all time. I think Brazil should be building statues of that guy in all the favelas, man. He's a legend. He's a GOAT. And I got a lot to feel, so. But, to your question, I told you guys before, there's a quote going around. I told you guys, if I beat you one time, the second time is going to be worse. And then the third time, you should rethink your life about accepting the fight, But just joking, but we knew it, after the first round, I walked up to Joe Rogan and John Anik. I told him the guy's tired. He's tired already. In the third round, I dropped my hands. I was telling him to punch me. I was like, bro, this is where you punch me. Punch me in the face. I'm daring you. I was telling him, I dare you. I dare you to punch me now. And, it went well. Things went my way. I think so. I landed, he landed some shots. My shots just seemed to hurt him a little bit more. So everything went my night tonight. But like I said, the guy's a GOAT, man. I had nothing but respect for him and his team and his family and all of Brazil.
Max Holloway is the reigning, defending UFC featherweight champion. He wins his 12th fight in a row. He successfully defends that title for the first time since 2014. The first person to do it since 2014. Do you remember who did it back on October of 2014?
Putting me on the spot. Jose Aldo.
Yes, of course. Jose Aldo against Chad Mendes in Brazil. Remember that night? Here we go. The blessed era is upon us.
March 3rd, 2018, UFC 222. Cyborg versus Kunitskaya, Las Vegas, Nevada. Originally booked as Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, the champ, Holloway, is forced out of the fight due to an injury, and top contender Brian Ortega is brought in as a late replacement.
Have you officially turned the page on the Max thing in the sense that, like, okay, you're going to Vegas to fight Brian Ortega. You're supposed to be the headliner. You're supposed to fight for the belt. There's a lot that comes with that. Do you think about that at all now, or are you really putting that aside and focusing on the new task?
Yeah, I'm putting it totally aside, because it's easy, with this whole Conor news and Max. I mean, it's easy to get sidetracked and think about Max, think about Conor. I got to focus on Ortega, man. It's a dangerous fight. Everyone says, oh, it's a risky fight, and they're right. You know what I mean? I'm putting a lot on the line, and that's my focus.
Frankie Edgar has made a living off of stopping these young guns on these rolls, most recently doing it against Yair Rodriguez. Is Brian Ortega different, though? Is he better than these guys in the past? Is this going to be a tougher fight than people are expecting for Frankie Edgar?
I mean, first of all, it's just an amazing fight. I don't even, on the very surface level, this is just such a tremendous fight, and I'm very excited that we get to see this. And you're right, Frankie has sort of made a career out of doing this. But what's so remarkable to me about what Frankie's been able to do at this point, he's 36 years old, and he just keeps doing this. It is so rare that you see fighters in the lighter weight divisions have sustained success into their late 30s, especially someone like Frankie, who has been in this for 12, 13, 14 years at the highest level. You see that in the heavier weight divisions where power can sort of offset a lot of, speed and fast switch sort of things. In the lighter weight divisions, you don't see that. Once guys fall off, just look at Gray Maynard and sort of that Frankie rival, just all of these guys. Once guys fall off, they fall off hard. But Frankie has consistently shown out every time, every year, always in these circumstances. I remember last year, like you said, when we were in Dallas for the Yair Rodriguez fight, there was doubt going on around at that point. Is Frankie done? Is this sort of the changing of the guard? And it looks so silly in retrospect because it's Frankie freaking Edward. He's going to be there every time.
In shocking fashion, Ortega knocks out the legendary iron-chinned Edgar. This would be the first time in Edgar's career that he has been finished. Edgar rebounds by defeating Cub Swanson in a rematch at UFC Fight Night 128, Barboza vs. Lee.
April 7th, 2018, UFC 223, Khabib vs. Iaquinta, Brooklyn, New York. Originally booked as Khabib Nurmagomedov vs. Tony Ferguson for the undisputed UFC lightweight title, Ferguson is forced to pull out of the bout due to a knee injury. Max Holloway steps in on very late notice to face Nurmagomedov in an attempt to be the second ever simultaneous multiple weight class UFC champion.
They keep talking about 6 days notice, it's a short, he's taking a short notice fight against me. How are you gonna get ready for 6 days for me, Khabib? That's the real question. And everybody keep asking about my weight. The weight is good. After the fight, 30 more pounds. 30 more pounds, 2 sides. We're walking out of the octagon, baby.
Great, thank you.
I agree with him. I agree. You guys remember when John Jones don't take fight versus Chael Sonnen, like 1 week or 9 days? I didn't remember. He said, this is different stylistic fighter. This, of course, for me it's not easy to. Everybody talk about him. He's right, you know, because I all the time focus to Tony. Now they give me one of the best. He have one of the best win streak of all time in UFC. He's not smaller than me. Now he's bigger than me. You know, I want to give him respect. He take this fight, but 1 week ago he vacation, drink beer, everything. But hey, I am training for 5-round fight. You know, this guy have to knock me out.
Hey,
if he don't knock me out,
I was getting ready.
If this guy don't knock me out, it's gonna be big night for him.
The injury
it's gonna be big night.
Happen.
He have to knock me out, and that's it. How he gonna beat me? Hey,
I've been training.
He make tired all the time his opponents. He make tired all the time his opponents. Like Aldo, Pettis, like other guys. He make tired and he win.
It is.
How we gonna make?
Hey,
how
we gonna find out Saturday night.
How we gonna make?
We gonna find out Saturday night, baby.
We'll see.
Let's go.
Sorry. Could you tell us how much you weigh right now?
That is also a secret.
Wow.
You know.
Why so many secrets?
Why? So you know, when you're a musician, you don't tell everybody your tricks, you know, just like reporters, you know,
Right.
you don't tell us where you get your source from. That's Come on, this is like Hollywood. If I told you, there's either two things: you can think I'm lying, or you won't believe me. So it's.
Wow.
However, Holloway is forced to pull out of the bout the morning of weigh-ins due to weight-cutting complications. July 7th, 2018, UFC 226. Miocic versus Cormier, Las Vegas, Nevada. Max Holloway is set to face Brian Ortega for the UFC 145-pound championship as the co-main event for UFC 226.
Mark Raimondi here for MMAfighting.com with Sean Al-Shadi. We're in Las Vegas. A little bit of breaking news, not good news, Sean. Max Holloway is out of UFC 226 due to concussion-like symptoms. I'm going to, off the top, read the statement that Max Holloway's management team, Sucker Punch Entertainment, sent out to the media, beginning with Ariel Helwani of ESPN earlier tonight, just really a few minutes ago here. Las Vegas is about 10 p.m. local time. The statement reads as follows. Max's team and UFC staff noticed Max was not normal since late last week. This became obvious to many watching his interviews and public appearances in the past few days. He was showing concussion-like symptoms before he even started his weight cut and was rushed to the ER on Monday, where they admitted him overnight. Initial scans seemed okay, and he was released Tuesday afternoon, but symptoms still continued. Max fought with his team to continue with the fight. He showed some improvement over the next day, but was still showing obvious symptoms. After open workouts, he crashed, and this is where it gets a little scary, Sean. After open workouts, he crashed and was very hard to wake up. When he did, he had flashing vision and slurred speech. He is now back in the ER for further tests. Now, Sean, there's a couple things that stand out. I mean, there's a lot of things that stand out about that statement.
Yeah.
Obviously, this seems very severe, very, very significant. One was that Monday, 2 days ago now, locally in Las Vegas, Max Holloway was in the hospital already in the ER. And the second thing is, after open workouts, where we saw him just a few hours ago at the MGM Grand, he was hard to wake up after the open workouts. Flashing vision, slurred speech. These are
not what you want to hear.
These are not positive signs. The fight is off. We know that for sure. But how frightening are some of these things that are being reported now about Max Holloway?
It's scary, man. It's really, really scary.
December 8th, 2018, UFC 231, Holloway versus Ortega, Toronto, Canada. The UFC featherweight champion Max Holloway and number one contender and undefeated Brian Ortega are rebooked as the main event at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto.
Was there ever part of you that doubted that this fight would come together with him and maybe had to mentally start to begin to turn the page on that?
I mean, like I always tell everyone right now lately, especially because it's the most common question, at the end of the day, I really do care about your health and how you are and how you're doing. I know you got a son. I mean, bullshit aside, you know, I know we're fighting all that shit, but I do hope you're all right. He's all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, for me, that, you know, it ain't cool if you step in there and you're not physically all right or something's going on. You know, I wouldn't want me to step in there. I wouldn't want him to step in there, especially you got a family. I got my family. So Like I said, I did worry about him. I pray for you, swear to God. And we're going to give you guys the show you guys deserve. And nothing's going to happen.
Holloway defeats Ortega by doctor stoppage at the end of 4 rounds.
What do you attribute your great improvement to from 5 years ago to now? 5 years is not a long time, but you are a dramatically different guy. What do you attribute the improvement to?
Our great coaches. I'm about to give you 3 names. Write them down. They're gonna go in the history book. Riley Lazarus, Ivan Flores, and Darren Yap. The 3-headed beasts. These guys is animals. These guys break down a lot of stuff. Even my wrestling coach, Mike Nakagawa, he's a fighter. He's coming up. My brother. And but those guys, those 3 guys and those 4 guys, they put it on the line for me all the time. Those 4 guys right there is their brains behind. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy doing it, but their brains putting it behind me. So I love those guys. When you're in there, you see things. I just felt his energy dropping every round. I heard his coaches talking, in the first couple rounds, and he'd push, and then, around like the 3rd round and stuff, I heard his coaches talking, and there's no push anymore, and then when I was coming out the 3rd round, I told Joe, this is the round. Get ready to come in and talk to me. And then when I didn't get the finish, I walked straight to Joe. I was like, this close, maybe next one. And then when they called the fight, I jumped the cage. The first guy I talked to was Joe. I was like, hey, I guess I was right. I take it back. We was there.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. All done?
Can I see a picture?
Yeah, could you?
April 13th, 2019, UFC 236, Holloway vs. Poirier 2, Atlanta, Georgia. For the first time in his UFC career, the featherweight champ will go up in weight to rematch Dustin Poirier. However, this time the stakes will be much higher, as the winner will be crowned the new interim UFC lightweight champion.
Man, you are moving up to 155, and that is the big story of this week. Just what is the best part of life at 155 so far for you?
The best part of life at 155 so far for me right now is eating.
Yeah.
I get to eat. I eat a lot at 45, but I get to eat a lot more at 55. So it's great, eating and just it's just fun. It's just fun. 55 is 55 is still a cut, but it's not 45 cut, and 45 ain't really that hard. Everybody keep giving me a hard time about the weight and blah blah this and that. Never ever have I missed weight in my career. Doctors came in and stopped it. I don't know what for the first time, and other times wasn't even weight related. So I'm just happy here to make history. People keep telling me I have the chance to be the 4th champ. That is a lie. I'm gonna be the first champ, and I'm also gonna be the first guy to win an interim in 2 different weight classes. And then I'm also gonna be a guy that's also gonna be the first headlining of the ESPN Plus pay-per-view card. So there's a bunch of history that's gonna go on Saturday night, and we're about to drop a video of how you can download the app and buy the fight.
You're just setting records all over the place.
Record setter. Nah. It is what it is. It comes with the game. When you want to be great, and you got a goal and you got a plan, all these things is gonna come along with it. So, I'm just here for the ride. I can't wait. I'm excited, and I can't wait to go into that octagon on Saturday night and show the world why I'm one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
Max Holloway loses by unanimous decision.
Max Holloway, man, you can't say enough good things about this guy. He comes up to lightweight. People wondered if the power would translate. He didn't end up stopping Dustin, but he definitely hurt him a few times. And that cardio, that fabled cardio, it held up. He battled back, like you said, in the middle rounds. I saw some people online making the case that Max actually took 3 of them. He took all the middle rounds. Dustin took the bookends. I think you can see that. I personally scored it for Dustin, but sensational fight and just an excellent capper for the night.
July 27, 2019, UFC 240. Holloway versus Edgar, Edmonton, Alberta. Max Holloway is set to defend his featherweight title against the former UFC lightweight champion as the main event at Rogers Place in Edmonton.
But the motivation, never ever question the motivation. The boy's always motivated, and Frankie's Frankie, man. If you don't give this guy the respect he deserved, he did something that was unthinkable, unheard of in a division higher than us when he was a much smaller dude. So I can't wait. You know, these are the fights that excite me. You know, the man's a legend. The man's a legend. If he's not a Hall of Famer, he's a future Hall of Famer. If not, he's definitely a Hall of Famer in my eyes, at least. And nothing but respect for him.